Okay, we're on step-by-step 3.6. So one thing that is very helpful to know is how to always get back to cell A1. So if you, for instance, are lost in the middle of your document somewhere far out in the middle of nowhere, if you hit Control and Home, you will always go to A1. So that cell then is activated. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to spell check our document. And to find this spell checking option, we will click on Review in our ribbon, and then let's check spelling. We'll notice that since we all started on cell A1, then we started basically at the beginning of our document. The very next word that should have been selected as incorrectly spelled is the word electricity. Unless I misspelled it, but I think that is the way it came originally. So let's now change it. The actual word that's selected is electricity, which is the correct spelling of electricity, so let's hit change. April is misspelled. There's actually 3 of those throughout the document, so we, instead of changing each individual one, we are going to change all of them. So when we select change all, should change all of them. We'll leave CF the way it is. We're going to ignore all the CFs, and it says that the spelling check is now completed for the entire worksheet. Say OK. We'll notice that our Aprils did change, but they did at the end. Okay, next let's proofread our document ourselves. There is another misspelled word. If anybody can find it in the next 2 seconds, raise your hand. 1001, 1002. The word is utilities at the top. It did not get picked up by the spell checker because it's capitalized. So it indicated to the spell checker that this was a proper name, and therefore it wouldn't pick it up in the spell checking function. But we obviously want to change that because it's incorrect. So we have 2 choices. One, we can double click on cell A1 and we will go into insertion mode, and then we can add in our missing I, but let's make it a capitalized I. Or we can click up here in our, I forgot the name of it, you guys can yell it out if you'd like. We click up in here and we can also change it in this area. Okay, let's save this and move on. Okay, we're going to move on to step-by-step 3.7 in the same video. Let's click on the page layout tab at the top in your ribbon, and we are going to work with our margins a little bit. So let's click on margins and let's choose wide. When we choose wide for our margins, you'll notice that your page breaks now are indicated with the dashed lines between the columns F and G. That indicates if you were to hit print, everything in this area would be page 1. I think this is actually page 2, and then as you scroll down you will see page 3 and page 4, which have nothing on them. Okay, next under page layout, let's choose orientation, and currently we're on portrait, which is 8.5 by 11, with 11 being the height. Let's choose landscape. The automatic page breaks then will change, and you will see how things fit then on your page based on the new orientation. Let's select range A3 through D20, and on the page layout tab in the page setup group, click print area. And what we're doing by choosing print area is we are setting our print area to only include the information in these particular cells. If we type something out over here and we choose print, this would never be printed because our print area has been set to only include data over here. Okay, we have a small amount of data on a very large page, so we might want our scale to be a little bit higher than 100%. So let's move our scale up button to 130%. This then will show us, when we print, our data on a bigger area. In the sheet options section under grid lines, let's choose print. This will allow these light area grid lines to actually show up on our page as opposed to being gone. It makes a difference in your eyes being able to locate data in different places if the grid lines are there. So they will be printed on the page as long as that is actually selected. If we unselect the view button, this is what it would look like when we printed. So you can kind of get a visual. So let's view the grid lines and let's print them. On the page layout tab in the page setup group, click the Print Tiles button. This specifies a row and column to repeat on each printed page. So on the Sheet tab in the Printed Tiles area, that is located right here at the end of the Rows to Repeat at the top. This collapse button, once we click it, will allow us to go into our document and actually highlight the rows that we want to be printed at the top of each sheet. In this case, we are going to click on row 1, indicating that this utilities expenses will be printed at the top of every sheet that we create. So if you have a 50-page document, utilities expenses will act as a header for the most part, but it will be printed at the top. And let's click our collapse button again and expand it back, and so therefore we now have the $1:1, which means the entire row 1. Now let's say OK, and let's hit the Control and Home button and go back to A1. Let's save this workbook and we will move on to the next step.